Okay, so I want to say, first of all, if you are my friend on like regular Facebook, I am sorry for subjecting you to my nerdiness twice. But I don't know, I just felt really inspired by my kids to do this. So, first of all, I will tell you all the story behind this, and I hopefully won't mess up because it's super nerve wracking to use a talent that you haven't used in almost 30 years publicly, to do it publicly again. It's really nerve wracking. So anyway, so let me tell you the story about it as people gather in here. So whenever I was in second grade, my second grade teacher had a book on her bookshelf in the classroom called The Buck Stops Here. And it was a book about our nation's presidents. It was the book, the edition that was in my classroom, my second grade classroom, was presidents Washington through George H.W. Bush. And so for whatever reason, I was just really drawn to this book. And oh my goodness, my mom is on here. I just saw my mom hopped on here. Okay. So anyway, I was just really drawn to this book and really was interested in it. I guess for whatever reason, I was just really interested in like history and government and all that kind of stuff. I was a weird kid. So anyway, so I was really drawn to this book. And so I read this book like every day and memorized the rhymes in it. And so my mom, who was, I'm going to tell, hopefully the feds don't come to my mom's house. Hopefully Joe doesn't send the feds to my mom's house. But my mom actually made a copy of the book for me because my mom was a teacher at my school. And so she made a copy of the book that was in my teacher's classroom for me. And so I had a copy. She like put it like in this nice little folder, and it was whatever. But she made a copy of the book, and so I have this book, and so I memorized all the presidents. I could say them forward and backward, and I could say a little rhyme to go with them. And so a couple days ago, I'm in my basement right now. My basement, I will not show you, is a mess, and my kids had like torn out all their books. And so my husband found a book. He found this book and was like, where did this book come from? Like, was that book, was that yours? Like, where did we get that? And so that's not, obviously this isn't like a book that was like Xerox copied. But whenever we were in college, I went on Amazon and found the book. And so I found this is actually the second edition of this book. So if you see, this goes, like, if you can see right there, like there's Bill Clinton on this book. So that's actually the second edition of this book. So anyway, so I just bought it just because I wanted to have it and one day be able to share it with my kids. And so, you know, with the election, with everything going on, I had forgotten like all about the book. I knew that we had it. I knew that it was down here someplace, but I hadn't been thinking about it because of the election. So I was like, oh, you know what? We need to read that book to the kids. And so we read the book to the kids tonight. Well, I read the book, but I didn't actually read it. I was like, I had my husband hold the book for my oldest, because my youngest was like running around acting a fool. But anyway, so, and then I recited the rhymes in the book as my husband had the page and was you know, turning the pages and stuff. And so I am going to do the rhymes for you all. I will do through Bush 41, and then I made up a rhyme for Bill Clinton, because like I said, in the edition of the book that I had, the first edition of the book, they didn't have Bill Clinton, but Bill Clinton was president whenever I first memorized the president. So first, before I do the rhymes for you all, this is really nerve-wracking. I practiced on my page, on my personal page, but I'm gonna do the presidents in order. I think I'm gonna do them forward, and if I don't get too nervous and like skip a bunch, because I feel like that whenever I said it on my page, like one point, like I think I skipped some accidentally, but I know these things. I am going to say them forward, and then if I feel good about myself afterward, I'll say them backward, and then I will say then I will say the rhymes. All right. Or actually, you know what I'll do is I'll say them forward. Then I will do the rhymes. And then I'll say the presidents backward just for fun. So it's a little bit lower stakes to say the presidents backward. It's a little bit lower stakes to do that. So yes. All right. So reciting the presidents in order. So like I said, this is a talent that I don't think that I've said this. I have not said the rhymes in 30 years in public. Now I did go through them on my page or whatever, but this is public. There's like 330 people here, and so I'm going to do it. So anyway, so I'm going to say the presidents in order now, then I'll do the rhymes. All right. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison. I need to have my fingers up here. William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, James A. Garfield, not Grover Cleveland, Chester Arthur. That's why I have my fingers up here to make sure I don't get ahead of myself. Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, Grover Cleveland again, because he was elected in 2 non-consecutive terms, the only president to ever do that. Hopefully the only one to ever do that. Anyway, sorry. William McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, Joe Biden. All right. So anyway, I did that. I always get like nervous whenever I get to the ones where I know it's like people's living memory, and I'm like, I gotta get it right. All right. So now here are the rhymes. All right. I'm nervous. I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to make sure that I can at least like remember the first couple ones, and then the muscle memory will take over. First and foremost, Washington, our best beloved President 1. Eloquent Adams, President 2, paid the courts with letters, postage due. Thomas Jefferson, number 3, made the sale of the century. Now Madison is number 4, we're fighting Englishmen once more. Number 5 is James Monroe, he told the world where not to go. Remember Adams number 2? Well, 6 is Adams' son, John Q. 7, Jackson Andy, all those coonskins came in handy. M. Van Buren, number 8, ate his meals from a golden plate. Harrison 9, went for a ride, caught a cold, and so he died. John Tyler, 10th president, was head of state by accident. 11, it's Polk we see, James K. Polk, and Destiny. Now, some of the rhymes there's like multiple rhymes for a president. So James K. Polk, there's another one that's not for him, but just as for the time. Go west, be brave, be bold. The land is free and the hills are gold. Z. Taylor, 12, oh me, oh my, we thought old soldiers didn't die. Millard Fillmore, 10-3, his hand now turns the White House key. 14, Pierce, White House host, ate dinner with a White House ghost. 15, James Buchanan couldn't keep the United States that wouldn't. 16, Abraham Lincoln was a Union man. Lincoln, 10-6, betrayed by rogues and lunatics. I don't know why I did 17. Now it's 17. 10-7, Johnson A. They almost took his job away. Grant 18, in general, he couldn't order the presidency. 1919, straight lace haze, sober viewpoint, steadfast gaze. And I should say at this point that obviously these are like, this is a children's book, so a lot of these rhymes are like aggrandizing of some of these presidents that were kind of ratchet. But anyway, that just kind of goes without saying. So I was on 19, so 20. James A. Garfield, Garfield 20, in a station, departed by assassination. Chester Arthur 21, deck the halls, let's have some fun. Grover Cleveland 22, honest, good, and plenty too. Benjamin Harrison 23, wears the hat of his granddaddy. Grover Cleveland 24, it seems there's always plenty more. McKinley 25, on this day, was shot to death to his dismay. Teddy Roosevelt 26, whisper softly, wave a big stick. Buy some land way out there, go outdoors in your underwear. Like I said, some of these are just rhymes. I'm just saying the rhymes that's in the book, y'all. Let's see. 27, Big Will Taft, always graceful, fore and aft. Woodrow Wilson 28, an honest man to celebrate. Now I have to stop there for a moment, and I'm going to change that rhyme because that's my least favorite rhyme in the book. Because Woodrow Wilson was not an honest man to celebrate. So here we go, Woodrow Wilson 28, a racist man we shouldn't celebrate. Anyway, 29, Harding 29, no doubt, should have cleaned his cabinet out. I'm trying to think. I know the rhyme. I'm trying to think of how it starts. 30 Coolidge, Silent Cow, Penny Pincher, Corporate Pal. Herbert Hoover 31 is so depressed by what's begun. 32 Roosevelt Franklin D. 4 times 32 was he. His terms go on interminably. That man in the White House, Franklin D. He's the last one that has 2 rhymes. Harry Truman 33, radiated energy. Eisenhower 34, concluded one more war. 35 Kennedy, young John F., one more president shot to death. Lyndon Johnson 36, more war, more death, more politics. 37 Nixon R., California's tarnished star. That's maybe one of the most honest ones in the book. Gerald Ford as 38 turned down the sound on Watergate. Jimmy Carter 39 crossed the Mason-Dixon line. Reagan 40 reached his goal, acting out his favorite role. Now, the first rhyme that I learned for Bush was, now George Bush is 31, good luck to him and all who come. The second edition rhyme for that is, 41 Bush kept his 41 Bush was no one's fool in a troubled world. He kept his cool. And then 42 was now Bill Clinton is 42. Good luck to him and all come. So it's something like to that nature. So whenever I was in second grade, I made up a rhyme for Bill Clinton. This is the last rhyme that exists. There's no, I need to look again, but I'm pretty sure that there's no like 3rd or 4th edition or 5th edition of this book that has rhymes for Bush and for W and Barack and Trump. Trump would be quite the rhyme. But anyway, but the rhyme that I made up for Bill Clinton was Clinton 42. After him, I wonder who. So anyway, I just felt super inspired to share my talent with you all. It's a ratchet talent. I guess that I will say, I'll go ahead and tell this story, because I haven't told this story before, I don't think. So whenever I was in third grade, because my mom was always really, really, super, things that I was interested in. My mom always made a point to, try to do things to help me like stay interested in it, or to kind of enrichment kind of things where I could learn. So whenever I was in second grade, between first and second grade, I was really super into Mark Twain, who was like really super racist. But anyway, but my mom, I'm a native Missourian, and I don't live there anymore, but I'm a native Missourian. And so my mom took me to Hannibal to see Mark Twain. Or not to see Mark Twain, like he was still alive. It wasn't that long ago, but she took me to Hannibal, where Mark Twain was from, and I got to see kind of all the sites and historic Hannibal and whatever. And so then, because I was super interested, because I was really interested in Mark Twain then, and so then whenever I became interested in the presidents between second and third grade, my mom and I took a trip to DC, and we got to go to the White House, and we got to do a White House tour. That was back. I don't even think that they do White House tours anymore. But this was before 9/11, obviously. Or they do very limited. Actually, they do White House tours now, but they don't advertise when they are. You just have to kind of go and hope maybe that there's one. But anyway, what was I going to say? So anyway, so my mom took me on this tour to the White House. And so, in addition to memorizing the presidents from the book that I referenced earlier, The Buck Stops Here, which is a saying that was popularized by Harry Truman, which I am sad to admit somewhat that he's my favorite president. He also was a native Missourian. My mom, in addition to having that book, I also had like these little cards that I could go through, and it had like their portraits on it. So I memorized a lot of their portraits and stuff too. So anyway, when my mom took me to the White House, I was going through the White House and was naming off all like the portraits and all this stuff, and was like, yeah, there's this president, and a fascinating fact about each of the presidents. And so we got to, I believe it was the Blue Room in the White House, and there's a bunch of carnations in the middle of the room, and we're kind of going around, and there's all sorts of different, pictures of different presidents and stuff. And so as we were going around, I came to William Howard Taft, and was like, yeah, that's William Howard Taft. And he is like, he was so fat that he had to have a special bathtub because he got stuck in the, he got stuck in the bathtub, and so they had to give him a special bathtub. And so like Secret Service agent like comes out. There's a Secret Service agent. He's a black dude. He like steps out, and he's like, what did you say? And so at this point, I'm like 9 years old at this point. And so I'm like, you repeated what I said. And so the Secret Service agent was like, oh, well, you seem pretty smart. And so I'm like, okay, because I'm a Secret Service agent, right? And like, I thought, we're going to get like whisked out of the White House. My mom was like, what's going on? And like, what did you say? Oh my gosh, what did you say? Because I talked a lot and she wasn't paying attention to what I was saying. So anyway, so he asked me to name all of the presidential portraits that were around the room. So I went around the room and named all the presidential portraits. And so there's the first lady there was Dolly Madison. I didn't recognize her because I was like, first lady, like whatever. I don't know all those women. But anyway, not that women aren't important, just that wasn't what was like, they didn't have like women, the trading cards of the first lady, whatever. So anyway, so I said all the presidents that were on the wall. And so the Secret Service agent like pulled back the little velvet rope on the stanchion and was like, go get yourself a flower out of the middle of the room. And so like, I was like, okay. And so like, everybody in the room by this point, like had stopped and was like staring at me. And so like, I walked through and I'm like going there, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get flowers. So I got a flower. So I picked out a pink carnation from the center of the White House. I think it was the Blue Room in the White House. And so I got this flower, and my mom, there's a picture of me that exists somewhere of me standing in front of the White House with this flower. And so my mom, I believe, still has the flower. It's, dried, whatever, but we put it up on top of her china cabinet and stuff. And so it's been there for like the last almost 30 years. But anyway, so yeah, so I went to DC, and DC, I've been, and I actually used to live outside of DC and have made many subsequent trips to DC. I have not ever been inside the White House since then. Because I've been to, even like I went on a school trip to DC right after 9/11, and we couldn't go to the White House. And so then whenever I lived there, you never knew when the tours were. And so I'm like, I'm not trying. And then like, I really wanted to go see Barack, but then after Donald was there, like, I'm trying to go see Donald, so it's whatever. So anyway, that's like my whole life story. Thank you for tuning in for my whole life story. That's really all I have to say. So you got to see me be nerdy, and I guess the other thing that I'll say, and yeah, I just was out here like living my best life. And of course, I guess it goes without saying that me saying the presidents and being excited about that isn't an endorsement of their ratchetness. But anyway, I'll throw that disclaimer out there. And so I'm going to go now because I've talked for like way too long. And so thank you for all of you who like hung tough with me and whatever, taking like half an hour to talk about this stuff. So anyway, peace.